Hello everybody, it's me, Mr. Duclos, back again to do another awesome lesson with fractions. Today our objective is to find common units or a number of units to compare to fractions. Let's jump right in and see what we can do. So now we have two fractions that we're going to compare. And we're going to use the area model to find common units in order to compare these fractions. And the common units that we're going to find are in the denominator. Remember, denominators are on the bottom. So right here I have 2/3, and I've drawn it out. I have 3, and 2 are shaded in. And over here I have 3/4. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 3 are shaded in. Previous lessons, you might already know which one of these is greater. And that's okay. What we're doing is we're practicing finding common units so that when the fractions get harder, you know what to do. So when I look at these problems, the first thing that I notice is that 3 and 4 are both factors of 12. That means that if you multiply 3 or 4 by some number, they're going to equal 12. So the way that you do it for 3 is you multiply 3 by 4, and that equals 12. And I'm going to do that on my picture by cutting our box into 4 more pieces. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. I didn't change the size of my box, but I changed the total number by adding in 4 more sections. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We have 12. And what we have shaded in is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we know that 2/3 is equal to 8/12. 2/3 is equal to 8/12. But how am I going to use that to compare 2/3 to 3/4? Well, as I said, we know that we can find that 3 is a factor of 12, and so is 4. So this time, I'm going to break it up or multiply it by 3. So there you go, and there you go. So now, even though I didn't change the size of my graph, what I have here are more parts. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And how many are shaded in? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And now we can super easily compare them because I have 8/12 and 9/12. And I know that 9/12 is greater than 8/12. And that means that 3/4 is greater than 2/3 because 2/3 is the same, is equal to 8/12, and 3/4 is equal to 9/12. So that's one way that you can find equivalent units to help compare fractions and make it easier. Let's look at another way that involves a little more math. So now we're going to learn a different way to find common units to compare two fractions. And what we're going to do is we're going to use multiplication to make it happen. So I have 2/4 and I have 3/5. How can I make common units so that I can easily tell which fraction is bigger? Well, there's a little trick, and that is you multiply both sides by the denominator of the opposite side. So I'm looking at 2/4. I'm going to times or multiply both sides by 5. And that gives me 2 times 5 is 10, And 4 times 5 is 20. So that gives me 10 over 20. Then on this side, I'm going to do the same thing, but reversed. I'm going to multiply both sides by 4. Because that's what the denominator is on the opposite side. Make sure that you can tell it's an x. So now we get 3 times 4 is 12. 5 times 4 is 20. Now we have common units, common denominators, and all we have to do is look at our numerators. So 10 over 20 or 12 over 20. Well, 12 over 20 is definitely bigger. So we know that 3/5 is bigger than 2/4. Let's do another one. You can pick any fractions and do it this way. So I'm just going to pick numbers at random. I'm going to say 4/6 and 7/9. I picked 7/9 because 7 and 9 are sometimes tricky numbers, and I want to show you that using this method, it's not so hard. Give myself a little more room though. And 7/9. So just like last time, I'm going to multiply each side by the opposite denominator. So 4/6 would get times 9 times 9. 4 times 9 is 36. And 6 times 9 is 54. So now I have 36 54s. And remember, 36 54ths is the same thing as 4/6. We're just making the numerator and the denominator larger, but the fractions are equivalent. They're equal to each other. So now we do the same thing over there. We have 7/9, and I multiply both sides by 6, the opposite denominator. So 7 times 6 and 9 times 6. Well, 7 times 6 is 42, and 9 times 6 is 54. So again, we have 54 on both sides. We found a common unit. And since we found a common unit, we know that 42 54ths is going to be bigger because we have more. We have 42 of our 54ths instead of only 36 out of 54th. It doesn't matter what the fraction is. You can always use both methods. If the area model is better for you, that's okay. If this is better for you, that's okay. Eventually, we're going to want to use this more often, but right now as we're getting started, whichever way you find is the easiest, you should go with that. Now we're going to move on to your independent work. I'm going to do the first one with you, and then it's your responsibility to finish on your own. Depending on what school you're at, you may have a Google document or you may have a Seesaw assignment. Whatever is assigned to you is what you're going to complete. I'm going to do the first question of the Google document as one more example. So the first question asks us to use the area model to compare these two fractions. Now it's a Google document, so you might not be able to draw on the actual web page, but you can still use a piece of paper to do the problem the correct way. And this is what you do. First thing we'll do is draw 1/2. So there's my, I'm going to cut it in half, try and make it a little neater, and shade in one of them, because I'm shading in 1/2. And then over here, doing the same thing. And even though my two rectangles aren't exactly the same size, we know that they're supposed to be. So we're comparing the fractions within them, not their actual sizes. We're not professional artists, and that's okay. For this one, I'm filling in 2/3. So now I have to figure out how to use our models to find equivalent units, common units. Well, if I look at the denominator of 2, and I look at the numerator, or the denominator over here of 3, I notice that both, if you multiply them, could become 6. 2 times 3 is 6. So I'm going to take my array and multiply it by 3 by adding 3 more sections. 1, 2, 3. And 3 times 2 is 6. So I'm going to cut this in half to add 2 more sections. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we have 1, 2, 3 shaded in. And over here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And 1, 2, 3, 4 shaded in. So now I've used the area model to make 1/2 3/6 and 2/3 4/6. Now they share a common unit. They share the denominator. And I can easily look at them, see that 4/6 is more than 3/6, and know that that is my answer. That's going to end our lesson today. It's now your job to go finish your work, and after that, have a great day. Goodbye.